This is Awakening. I'm Chandra Prasai and we welcome our viewers around the globe. Today we will be talking about religion and its distinction with the spirituality. And to talk about it, as always, we have here with me the religious scholar and motivational speaker, Shree Santa Poudel. Santaji, let me welcome you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Religion tells you the truth. Spirituality lets you discover it. Oftentimes, spirituality and religion comes together, and we always get confused with. Would you please tell us what is spirituality?
All right. They are often used together. When people tell something about their affiliation, their spiritual pursuits and all that, they say that some people say that they are spiritual, some people say that they are religious. Although they are used in differently, they are different, of course. Religion is more about a set of beliefs and practices and what scriptures tell you to do, what your religious masters tell you to do. Spirituality is more about your pursuit to experience that what you always looked for, that is the inner peace and bliss. So it is going inward and trying to understand yourself, trying to uncover what are unknown to you. It is an inward journey. A lot of people, those who are deeper into spirituality, believe that it gives them inner peace, tranquility, and a sense of purpose. Oftentimes it is associated with the practices such as yoga, meditation, prayers, chanting of God's name. It can take different forms, but it is going inwards, and when you are deeper into it, it's just not about knowledge, it's about experience. Religion and the scriptures talk about, hey, this is what is there in heaven. Spirituality lets you experience it through these processes. It is a process that allows our soul, to realize itself while in the body. So the soul is inside the body, but it lets the soul realize what it embodies. It embodies everything, right? We've been talking about soul and what it means to us. It is because of which there is everything, without which there is nothing. It just becomes a dead body without the soul. So spirituality, in a greater sense, is a process that allows us to save ourselves from the oblivion of non-realization. Without spiritual pursuits, what we do, we engage in activities that are of no significant value. Something that any living being can do. Let's say eating, reproduction. These are the things that people engage so much in our material pursuits. And that keeps us in such a state that the life is wasted. So that's why in one of the books it said that spirituality is saving yourself from the oblivion of non-realization, because the realized soul, when the soul expresses itself and manifests in people's life, the life becomes a lot different. Spirituality is about melding with and melting into divinity. When you are in a deeper state of your spiritual accomplishment, what you do is you see divine spark in everything, in every living being. And that is when you see God in all others. I see God in you. And you see no distinction. It does not matter to me if I'm so deep into spirituality, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a non-believer, whatever you are, I see that divine spark in you when I realize that divine spark within me. And you see God everywhere. The omnipresence of God is realized when you are in the tipping point of your spiritual pursuit. Let me finish this up, In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Iswara sarvabhutanam hridayasarjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutanam yantradhani mayaya, that I reside in every living being is the sparking soul. When you see that through your spiritual practices, religion becomes less significant and you pursue that oneness with the divine power, the higher power, or the supreme soul.
I was going to ask you about the religion, and then you just talked about it will be religion. When you're so spiritual, then it doesn't matter you follow religion or not. That's your point. And then still, there are a lot of faiths, a lot of beliefs, and many religions are there. I'd like to ask you, actually, what is religion and its origin, and then true meaning of religion?
In Vedic terms, religion is translated as dharma, although they are loosely translated. They're quite different. In English, it's called religion. That's like re is again, reason, ligere is to get to the fountain of happiness. Okay. So getting to the fountain of happiness again is what religion is defined by. If we go into the Vedic term dharma, it is made up of two words, dri and ma. Ma is self and dri is to embrace. So understanding you as a divine part, or the part of the divine whole, in embracing that fact, casting off all this distinction that we have set for ourselves, the boundaries of race, gender, and all that, and be one with God, is what religion is all about. One of the Vedic scriptures called Vaisesika Sutra says, Yatho abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhisha dharma. That means religion is something that gives you happiness in this life and beyond. So looking at that, religion is guiding people towards the same purpose of bliss, oneness with God. But a lot of times it is going outwards. It is about knowledge. Religion is not about experience. As such, there has been a lot of issues with religion and what religion has been involved in the name of God, what's happening in this world today. Because of the lack of spirituality, people are not into experiencing the things that are told that you can experience with following those scriptures, but you are not keeping them in practice. So although they are complementary to each other, due to what is happening in the religious field or religious spectrum, people often distinguish religion and spirituality in two different ways. They are completely contrasting is what people say, but they are complementary to each other. And like you began the episode with saying that religion tells you the truth and spirituality lets you explore it, I would say religion tells you the truth. Spirituality lets you experience it. Instead of exploring it, you experience it, going inward.
Yeah, that's a true distinction between these two. And I'd like to, since this is a very deep philosophical topic and we have to go very deep into to get it, let me talk about a little bit this, this thing in my mind constantly coming up when I was preparing for this topic, this talk show. Oftentimes we say sun sets and rises. But the truth is, sun never sets, sun never rises. It's there all the time. It's the Earth, planet Earth, rotating in an angle on its axis, rotating in progress, and then also rotating around the sun. This one rotation is 24 hours, that's what we call time. And then the sun facing towards the earth, or the earth facing toward the sun, which is bright, light, day. The other side is dark. Let's say someone wants to be in a bright light all the time, in a daylight, then they have to travel with the planet Earth in a rotation, so they always get sunlight. For example, to be enlightened. May not be the true statement.
Mm-hmm.
So just like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then sun does not discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
It is equal to all the creatures,
Mm-hmm.
rich, poor, criminals, whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like that, let's say if there is a God.
Mm-hmm.
God is always there.
Mm-hmm.
God should not discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
It's us tearing this darkness
Mm-hmm.
and then tearing this wall
Mm-hmm.
to see through him. It's not like there is someone sitting there with a big beard,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we do a lot of devotion or pray,
Mm-hmm.
him or her, then they will just pop up and give you a darshan,
Mm-hmm.
a seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something like that, but how we tear this wall so that we can see through
Mm-hmm.
this soul to that greater soul connecting. It is oftentimes easy to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but how can someone transform to a level of that spirituality you just talked about to connect to the God? What is the process? How someone can do it?
Not everyone can be Siddhartha Gautama, nor everyone can be Lord Gautama or Mahamati Pranath or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Mirabai. Spirituality is something that is practiced alone. You gotta be a lone traveler. You don't have friends in your spiritual journey. If you are religious, you can go to a temple with 500 people attending the sermon, right? You can go to trips, you can go to pilgrimage with a lot of people alongside you. Like I said, spirituality is an individual journey that you begin for yourself. It is alone, and a lot of times it is not that rewarding instantaneously. It takes a lot of effort. Why it happens is because the reward that comes with our spiritual pursuits at the end is so vast, so gratifying that nothing else matters anymore, right? So let's say, giving you a reference, if I have to make $1 million in my lifetime, I'll have to work so hard, I'll have to think smart, I'll have to meet with people who have ideas, I'll have to have the trust of the banks that can loan me to start up businesses and all that, and there's no guarantee that I'll be a millionaire, right? It is so tough to be a millionaire. And being a millionaire, it's not that all of my desires will be fulfilled and I won't have to worry about anything else. What we're talking about here is infinite bliss, to be in oneness with the spiritual master or the divine or the God, whatever name you give it to. So the journey would not be easy. As such, a lot of people give up on it, right? Because you have so many friends going to the church, probably, but staying in darkness, meditating for hours, it is not that fun thing to do. It is tedious for a lot of people, so they cannot sustain their spiritual practices. And however, a lot of times those people who engage in spiritual activities, they do not have set guidelines. They meditate, but they don't know what to meditate on. They do yoga for health reasons. They don't do yoga to merge with God, because yoga is to have oneness with God. Yog meaning the addition, the connection, the union with God. But yoga today, as you know, is all about stretching your body and keeping your body off of diseases, right? So it is not an easy job to do. So you gotta master some skills. First off, you gotta realize the temptations, the instant gratifications that you get with being involved in these material affairs. What is spiritual people call menial affairs, like having kids, getting rich, being who we want to be academically in our careers. But when you get into spirituality, you cast away everything, and a lot of people are attached to these things so much that they cannot cast away these things that tie them together, attachment to the world. But when you are into spirituality, you experience freedom and godliness. You see the divine in everyone. So nothing binds you, no relationship, no material temptations, right? You won't worry about whether you would be a millionaire. It does not matter to you. You are constantly joyful. You are always traveling and getting closer to that divine, to the source of that bliss. It won't come easy.
Yeah, of course it is, and there should be a big sadhana, big practice, or we call it devotion towards spirituality. Oftentimes people, as we already talked about it, get confused with the spirituality and religion. But can someone be spiritual, but not religious?
It is possible, because like I said again, spirituality is going inside, is trying to find answers to some deepest questions, the mysteries of life, why we're here, what am I here for, questions of deepest magnitude that trigger the mind of the world's smartest people. So I can be spiritual but not Christian. I can be spiritual but not a Hindu. I may not have a belief, I may not believe in a particular deity or God, but I can still be spiritual. However, when spiritual practices are coupled with religious understanding, your journey becomes easier because you know what you're striving for. When you know your goal, it is easy to plan it out. So spirituality without religion, where some scriptures or the religious teachers guiding you, becomes a little difficult. It's not that those people are not happy or they cannot experience some sort of exuberance. It is just that sustaining that, and like I say, dharma meaning being happy after this life as well, not just in this life, to take that bliss to another level, transcending all the material things and experiencing oneness with God in this ever effulgent heaven of God. You need the guidance of religion too. So this would go hand in hand, but for spiritual practice, like to meditate, you don't need to believe in Jesus or you don't need to believe in Lord Shiva. To do yoga, you don't have to believe in a particular deity. You can stay silently and meditate for hours. You don't need to be guided by a spiritual master. You can do that. It is not that it is impossible, but to sustain it and get the fruit of your spiritual process of eventual realization, self-realization, God realization, or whatever name you give it to, you probably need some help from religion.
So oftentimes religion comes with loaded rules. I may be wrong, you can correct me. It's like you're going to a soccer game. In a soccer game there is a referee, there is all these rules. Basically you're playing a football, right? You can play a football just yourself, without any rules, which is more like being a spiritual, being free, with the freedom, right? But you just said that if you want to get nirvana, then you have to have a spirituality within you, and then also to connect to God, right? Then only you can do that. Oftentimes it is also said that religion divides people. Am I wrong, or?
It should not.
Right, because
the very essence of religion is to unite people.
Exactly.
But
people are fighting on the name
the
of
eventual
God.
goal of religion is to unite all people, spread love and care and kindness and compassion among people. So especially in Vedic religions, it's such, we talk about universal brotherhood. The Vedas talk about aham brahmasmi, that I'm the Brahma, tattvamasi, you are the Brahma, and God resides in all living beings. So religion, instead of dividing people, are essentially meant to unite, but that is not what we see around the world today. And why this happens has a purpose, because I'll give you a practical example. If you go to one of the universities in Texas, let me give you an example of University of Texas at Austin. When you go apply for admissions in UT Austin, they won't tell you that Harvard is better than us. Why don't you go there?
Yeah,
right? They want to retain you if you are good enough. They would probably offer you scholarship and all that. And once you are there, you were too good and you want to transfer out to Harvard University, they would still tell you, hey, we are still the best. They gotta lie, they gotta do, they will do everything in their power to retain you. So in terms of retaining the number of followers, because these organized religions have some sort of power over millions of people. Christianity has over 2 billion followers, Islam has somewhere around that, Hinduism has more than 800 million followers. So to retain that population that give enormous power to the leadership of those churches and the religious organizations, they gotta tell you something that seemingly divides people. They will have to tell you that if you do not follow a particular religion, you would end up in eternal hellfire, you will regret eternally for what you didn't do, you gotta become a Christian, you gotta become a Muslim, you gotta follow a particular religion to get that salvation. But like I said, when you get deeper into spirituality and you transcend the teachings of religions, the sectarian teachings, and get into the deeper philosophical ideas that these religions offer, there's outstandingly amazing similarities between them. They all talk about how to attain salvation. They talk about different types of souls. They talk about different aspects of things that you gotta do to get closer to God. They give you some moral guidelines that are too identical, but there are some differences too. But as long as they offer the remedy from world's troubles, it does not matter which religion you follow. But always explore. Don't wait for heaven until you die. Experience heaven when you are alive. When you do that, when you experience that bliss within this life, right here. Because my Guruji used to say often that, when we eat something, our hunger gradually collapses, right? We are no longer hungry. If we drink water, our thirst is gone. When we take some medication for headache is gone in no time. But the amount of prayers, the amount of sacrifices, the amount of devotion that we put into spirituality and our religious affairs, we wait the result of that come after we die. So religions focus less on experience. Spirituality focuses largely on experience. That is why there is a difference. And people are divided in terms of these scriptures, these writings, but had people experienced that bliss, they would not fight over religions. Because if you look at Quran, if you look at Bible, if you look at the Vedas, they all say that it is that God, one God, who sent all these scriptures to different kind of audiences. But as you know, the earth was a better place. Now it is so polluted, right? It is us, the earth, the condition of our living earth is our making. It is not God that gave us this way. All the oceans are polluted, or a lot of oceanic creatures and all the animals, a lot of animals have been extinct. It is our making. Just like that, we became corrupt, we became power mongers, we became greedy, and made a mess everywhere, and religious affairs too. So it is no exception to that, and it was to happen because God wanted it to be this way. He didn't want the world to be utopian, the perfect world, because the heaven was already perfect. He didn't have to create this.
So equal everybody, treat everyone equally. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That's often called in Sanskrit. I asked you about someone being spiritual but not religious. Can someone be religious but not spiritual? How that will go?
That's what a lot of people are, actually.
That's the main point, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are. They go to church. They don't shower love to their neighbors, their enemies. They don't have care for others. They do not have the sense of humanity to others. They go to church.
It's just
a lot of people go to temple.
Yeah.
Are they kind-hearted? Do they care about a beggar asking for a plate of rice because the person is not fed for 3 days, has gone hungry for 3 days? No. They would take a bottle of milk to the temple, but would they give it to a hungry man lying and begging for something on the street? No. So a lot of people are religious, they are not spiritual. So yes, you can be, or you are, a lot of people are. Like I said, if you are in a spiritual process, the whole lifestyle changes. You become a better person, you become kind, you become free, you become joyous, you share that joy, you share that happiness with other people. A lot of people are not. That is why the purpose of religion has not been served, because religion is to make your life happy here and after this life as well. But let's assume that there are 80% of people who are religious. Are they happy in this life? Do they know anything about afterlife? So how can you plan for something that you know nothing about? People are not simply happy because they are not practicing religions in a right way. They are not being spiritual.
So nothing about the religion. We're not talking bad. I mean, of course, we're talking about the good and bad about the religion, but we're not here to discriminate or do talk about this religion is good or the other is not. Which is good or bad, right? We're not talking about all of that. But at least if someone wants to be a true devotee, and then devote his or her life towards the God or towards that path, then should be a spiritual person, right? Without it, can't.
Again, it's going inward. If you look for your truth to be dictated by others, if you believe that your spiritual master or your scripture is the ultimate reality without ever experiencing it, what if it is wrong? What if? I'm not saying it is, but what if? All the efforts are gone under the gutter, right? It is all wasted. So when your scripture tells you something and you begin to enjoy what is being told, a little at least, it comes in your experience, then you know for sure that you are heading in the right direction. There are so many religions, so many deities, so many gods, right? People worship different things. Some people worship jungles, forests. Some people worship stones. Some people worship sun and moon, and some people have different deities. Some people believe in one, some people believe in many. I'm not saying one is right over the other.
Correct.
I'm not a person to profess which one is real and which one is not. What I'm saying is, unless it comes in your experience, your life is pretty much wasted, because you're waiting for your heaven to be given to you when you die. When you experience that here, it does not matter. You're guaranteed that it's coming.
All right, so this is the last episode of the season 1. Before we wrap up today, so is there anything you'd like to say directly to our audience?
It was wonderful talking to you. You brought up some interesting topics and questions, and thank you to our viewers that it is our first attempt to reach out to them, and we covered a lot of topics about real life and how to stay motivated, happy, single focus. And on the next season, I think we'll go over some spiritual topics about God, realization, enlightenment. We talk about different aspects of devotions, how to attain God, what is salvation, and the topics of spiritual nature. And thank you. I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, and I would like to thank you from bottom of my heart, because you're a student, you're a spiritual guru, you have your family, you're going to college. I just said you're a student, and it's a lot of loaded task for you, and it's still having some time for us, and then talking about this very philosophical and then very deeply it needs more study and all of this, right, and more kind of vested interest on it. Then you'll be able to do all of this. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for you guys watching us for these 10 episodes. This is our last episode for this season, and then we'll come in our second season pretty soon. And thank you so much again. Thank you for watching. See you in our next episode in next season. Thank you so much.
Thank you.